Hey, what's up? It's Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. And in today's video, we're going to talk about how to deal with a collection when you're trying to buy a house. I know you've probably seen other videos out there where they talked about don't pay a collection, don't do this, don't do that. But when you're trying to get a home, no underwriter, I don't care who it is, no underwriter is going to make any loan to you if you have things that are out there that are not resolved. Now, one of the biggest misconceptions, and that's why I wanted to make this video, because I'm sitting here with a client that is trying to buy a house, and when they sent in this document, and I got all of the information about what's going on, because a lot of people think it's just to fix the credit to be able to get approved, when there's other things that go into it. You can fix your credit and you can still not get approved. Because I'm gonna show you what a little bit about how underwriters are gonna view what your potential to get a loan, and how you're viewing your potential to get a loan. What your state of mind is, because the two states of mind are totally different, and that's why a lot of people get frustrated. Even myself, I went through the process, and what I've done is I've just learned that understanding their side is just processing documents and information. And then on our side, it's more about emotion, because we're attached to wanting to either get that house or to get whatever you're trying to get. That's why there's always a lot of confusion on why I got approved and why I didn't get approved. And I teach that you got to control that mindset, because that mindset will get you into the position to be able to get what you want if you just slow your mind down, and you'll be able to work out solutions to be able to get yourself approved for that house. And this is a perfect example to use this, because if this individual did not come to me and I didn't like slow it down and say, these are your options, they could either get frustrated and quit, or get upset and think that the world is against them and that it's set up for them not to be able to get their home. So one of the, I split it up here. So the goal is to get the house, and believe it or not, the lenders and the underwriters, they want you to get the house. That they're just under a certain amount of restrictions and rules that they must abide by to even be able to give you the loan. Like, I'll give you one quick example. Did you know that if you had a stack of cash, I call it the mattress generation, like my granny, she put her money, hide it all over the place in the house. The way it is now, you cannot just go and get your mattress money and stick that right into your account and say, this is what's going to be used for my down payment. You have to have some type of way of tracking any money that is placed into your bank account for the specific period of time that you are going to, that they request for your, how you're going to do your down payment. So usually, they're going to say it's probably about 3 months of bank statements. So if you put a big deposit in there for your down payment from your mattress money, they're going to say, where did that money come from? They're going to want to see documents or somehow that traces that money, that someone just didn't give it to you. Now, for you on your side, emotional side, you're going to be like, this is my money. Why can't I save it wherever I want to save it, and then put it in my own bank account whenever I want to put it in? Remember what I said. They're going to be on a document processing side. You're on an emotional side. You might as well just X that out of your mind and get on to the process of proving where you got those funds from. Now, underwriters are going to be looking at credit scores, lenders and underwriters. They're both together, but the underwriting department is who's going to be doing all the processing of the documents. So they're going to be looking at your credit scores. The credit scores are going to be basically just to even see what program they can fit you in. So like there's different programs at 650, 5 or 656 or whatever. They different ones that are out there, but they're going to have a baseline to say that if you have a certain credit score, this is the program we're going to try to fit you in. And once they get that, know where they're going to try to fit you in, they're going to start saying these are all the documents. I don't have them all written there, but they're going to start saying we need you to produce documents. It could be social security numbers, social security cards, proof of residence for a certain period of time, even though they can look that up. But they're going to want documentation, especially if you're renting, or more information about your job. If you have investment or retirement account, they're going to want to look at all of that stuff to substantiate what program they're going to try to put you in. And then they're going to be doing a deep dive into your credit reports. When they do that deep dive into your credit reports, that's what's going to bring up some more of that emotional stuff, which is what this document here with that individual that sent this over for our help. When they look at your credit reports, they're going to be looking at items, and they're going to say, okay, your credit is good, and we're going to use this example. Your credit is good, but you have that collection item on there. And for this individual, they have a collection, but it's a charge off with the original creditor. So you're probably, I want you to think, how would you solve that problem? I know how to solve that problem because we deal with it from time to time with our clients, but I'm going to tell you how to solve it. Most people here on YouTube or seminars and all that stuff, they say don't even pay it, don't do nothing with it. You know, how can they say that when the underwriter is going to be like, what are you going to do about that collection account? If the underwriter says you have to take care or do something about this collection account, and you say, well, I went to a seminar or I watched YouTube and they said don't pay that collection account, guess what? You're not going to get that house. You're not going to get that house. So now let's get into the solution about what to do with that collection. And again, that's going to bring you into a high emotional state, and you need to be very careful about the way that you proceed, because you could blow up the whole deal. You could just say, well, I can't do it. I don't want to even deal with these people. When I call them, they're acting like you know what, and all of that stuff. And I'm just telling you, slow your mind down and start thinking about solutions. And I'm going to give you solutions, the same solutions, options that I gave this individual. So they have a collection on their account, but this is the thing about it, is that it had an original creditor charged it off and gave it to or sold it to one of the debt collection companies that I've actually been seeing pop up a lot. They're buying these personal loans from these companies like Lending Club. So they bought the debt. This individual did do a good job. They disputed the debt, which will make them not be able to do anything, no collection activities or anything for 90 days. I believe they said that the information did come off and then it got put back on. Now, this is something that they wrote back to the individual. They said that they were in the receipt of your dispute pursuant to the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And they said that they reviewed the dispute, and they said that we have all the documentation to prove that you had to pay the debt, and that if you feel that new and additional information or documentation to substantiate your claim or dispute, please feel free to send it. So now what they're going to do after they've done that is that they're going to, if they've already actually done it, have the information on all 3 credit reports. And so now you have the collection account and you have the original creditor that had it charged off. So now the solutions on what you should do. Most people right now are either thinking the old way, which, well, not the old way, but the way that people that don't have nothing to do with this stuff tell people. They say, don't pay it. You know, don't pay it. What I'm telling you to do, and this might even sound a little bit crazy, is that you call and you have them run your credit, your lender. If you're trying to buy your house within 3 to 6 months, then you need to call and have them run your credit and get pre-qualified. Because then what they're going to do is they're going to send that up to underwriting, and they're going to say, you need to do this to resolve this account. That's if you have 3 to 6 months. Reasons why, you might be saying, well, Steve, why don't you dispute it? The reasons why is because underwriting, this is a rule for all underwriters, is that you cannot have anything disputed on your credit reports. Some of you don't even know that. So what they've done here, if you're trying to buy a house and you have those seminars and all these workshops and all these so-called credit repair gurus that are out there, and they're saying dispute this information, and then you're going to go and you're going to try to get pre-qualified for a house, and they're going to say straight out of the bat, you can ask anyone that's in the lending, if you have a dispute on your credit, it's gone, it's over, you're denied. So you don't even want to start with any disputes. We always tell our clients, no, if you're going to go buy a house, if you're going to go buy anything, stop the disputing process, let that resolve itself. Even if the information is not resolved, even if the account and the dispute is not resolved, get it out of the dispute phase. And then you go and you apply and you see where you're at, and you ask them to give you a document on what needs to be worked out for you to fit into one of their programs. That's exactly what I advised her to do, is that you want to figure out what they're going to ask you to do. So now what we see when going for homes is that they'll give a list and they'll say, we want you to work on this. We want you to, resolve that. Don't worry about the charge off. So they may say the original creditor, just get that off of there. So they may say, don't worry about the original creditor where there's a charge off. They may say, don't worry about them because they don't own the debt anymore. If you pay the collection, which you can do a settlement on, have it reported as, that it's paid. They don't care what amount you pay. They just care that it's resolved. The reason why is because they don't want to give you a property and then the next day you have a lien on the property. That's the way that it would work. It's like if you have a judgment against you, it's going to be an effective lien on whatever property that you own. And they don't want to sell a house and then all of a sudden you have a lien on there. So that's why. So they're going to say, pay this collection, get us a letter over so we can get that up to underwriting, and then you'll be able to move forward. Now, if you have, let's just say you're 6 months plus to 1 year. So let's talk about how I would attack it. If you're 6 months plus to 1 year, not knowing exactly what this individual had put in their dispute to this collector, I'm going to tell you what I would put to the collector. So when you do a debt validation, we all know you're going to ask for the contract. You want to know the relationship between you and the debt collector. You might be saying, well, Steve, isn't that two things? No, let me tell you, this is something that people get confused about. Relationship with the with the debt collector is to find out if they own the debt or if they are collecting it for the original creditor. Because if you think about it, when you say contract, what's the first thing that they always send you? They always send you the contract from the original creditor. They always do it. I've seen it a million times. They always do that. So And that's why that's what I'm thinking is what usually that's what happened with this one here. So you say contract, but you don't specify what is your relationship between us. Are you the owner or are you assigned from the original creditor? There's two ways you can do that. You can either write them a letter, the way that I like doing it the best. And I just had a client do this. This is the way that I like doing it the best, because this can tell you which direction you want to go with dealing with a debt collector. Is that you can call them up on the phone. They're going to say, hey, this call is being recorded and anything you say, blah, 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 is going to be used as an attempt to collect a debt. Okay. You repeat to them, I'm also recording this call, and I do know that you're recording this call, and I have a question for you. Do you own the debt, or are you hired, or you're working for the original creditor, to collect that debt? That is that question there. I've it hasn't happened recently, but I've seen debt collectors after that was done, send letters to individuals stating that they're not going to attempt to come after them for a debt anymore based off of that call, because they've sent documents that gave a different impression. So they'll usually tell you yes or no, they'll say no, or they could hang up the phone. Whichever one, you better get your answer. If they hang up the phone, that's usually when they own the debt and they've misrepresented that the original creditor is coming after you. The next thing that we want to ask them about is the privacy. You want to look at the documents that they sent to you, and you want to see how many hands did it pass through. Obviously, it's going to go through the original creditor. It's going to go through them. But was it sent through another middle portfolio company before it got to them? Is that portfolio company owned by them? It doesn't matter, because they made it a different LLC anyway. You'll see that with LVNB funding and then Resurgent. They're one and the same, but they use two different LLCs. Well, that makes two different privacy statements that they need to get, that shows your name, that allows them to share your information between themselves, and then you want to get a document from the original creditor. The next thing that you want to do in this debt validation, because you got more time, is that you want to check out the interest rates. You want to look and you want to see if the interest rates plus finance spelling that wrong there, charges plus any fees, and that could be documentation fees, it could be whatever. They look at the documentation that they gave you, the truth in lending statement, and add that stuff up. You might be saying, well, these people have accountants and attorneys, why would they give documents like that? We saw that happen with Santander. We seen it happen with payday lenders. We seen it happen with regular lenders, that they were actually breaking the rules, the finance laws in certain states, because the interest rate plus the finance charges plus the fees and some other stuff that they tacked on made it past the legal limit that they're able to charge people for a loan. So you might as well look at that. And the thing about it, when you're doing it with a debt collector, when you're challenging that with a debt collector, it can make a debt collector withdraw themselves from that collection, because there's nothing, absolutely nothing that the debt collector can do to prove that this was not done intentionally. Because all they did, and it's wrote on every portfolio purchase that a debt collector buys, is that they assume all responsibilities for an account. And you can't come knocking on our door saying, hey, this person showed me that all of these that this specific account, there was some violations on the interest rate, finance, and fee charges. The original creditor don't want to hear that. They're like, hey, you paid us our money, get out of here. We have no refund policy. So now, once you have all of that information and, you review it, maybe there's some additional stuff that you might catch that might get your attention, that you might be able to ask them for more information on in your debt validation / dispute with them. But you craft this up, you send that to them, and then you can see what will come back from them. Usually when you have this stuff here pretty well explained on what your arguments are, a lot of debt collectors will just withdraw. They're not even going to go after you. And then you would use that document to get that off of your credit report. So after you've done that hard work, put that nice letter together, then you would use that information to get that stuff off of your credit reports. Now let me talk to you about a strategy that I've put into place, and I've told my reps here at the office that they need to start utilizing this. We utilized it a lot with the original creditors. We utilized it a lot with the bureaus, but we had not really utilized it with the original creditors. And I don't even, that reason why is because when you used to send the documents to the bureaus, they would get them over to the original creditors. But something that we've started doing, we've been doing it for a while, but I've never mentioned it here on YouTube. And I'm pretty sure once I say it, it's going to blow up YouTube, where people are going to, say this is something that you should do. Is that if a debt collector buys an account from an original creditor, in essence, isn't that debt paid? You might be saying, well, it's not really paid, they sold it. Well, if you have a car and you owe $10,000 on that car, and then you go and sell that car for, not that you owe, the car is worth $10,000. You sell the car for $1,000. Even though you bought the car for $10,000, is the car paid for? Yes, the car is paid for. This is a technique that a lot of the finance companies and the original creditors, they never thought that anyone would ever put that 2 + 2 together, where they're saying like, hey, that, this account is actually paid for because you accepted a payment. Think about it. If you were to pay the original creditor pennies on the dollar, wouldn't they have to state that the account was paid? Wouldn't they have to state that the account was paid? You had a charge-off account, which allows them to be able to come to do a settlement unless they sell it, because it takes it off of the regular books. Wouldn't the original creditor have to state that the account was paid for less? They would have to state that on your credit report. So why don't they do that when they sell it to a debt collector where they accepted funds for that account? They don't do it because nobody makes them do it. Nobody, confronts them and says, hey, you accepted a payment on that account. You need to show that it was paid. You can put on there that it was paid for less. So that's something that we would have them do on their credit reports. You would send that document, that request, to the original creditor and say, hey, you got to put on there that this account is paid for. It may take a lot of back and forth. They may choose to remove it. You can say you could either remove it or you need to state it, because I have a document right here from this company that stated that they paid you for that debt. So I want it stated on my report, so I want it removed. Wouldn't that make sense? So to review, the lender, the underwriter, looking at your credit scores, look at your scores to see what program they can fit you in. Once they know what program they can fit you in, it's going to tell them all of the documents that they're going to need to get from you to qualify you for the loan. They're going to look at your credit reports. On your credit reports, they're going to look at everything and see what's on there, and they're going to tell you need to resolve these things to be able to get you a loan. You're going to be thinking more emotional because you have your eyes on getting your family into that house. You're ready to do it. You want to get away from that landlord. You want to start building wealth for your family. You're going to be on emotional in an emotional state, high emotional state. You know you got that collection on your account. You're trying to figure out, how can I get that removed? I don't even deal with them anymore. When you call them, they say we can't even deal with it. You know, to be able to get through underwriting to get your loan, that you're going to have to deal with that. I'm telling you, if you have 3 to 6 months, you need to, when you do your qualification process, you ask them what needs to be resolved, and then you take care of resolving it. If you have 6 months to a year, and that's really, I should say, 7 months to a year, because you're going to get it on, if you're trying to get it within 6 months, then you don't want to be disputing stuff on your report. You want to be in the mode of resolving. You got 7 months to a year. What you're going to do is you're going to put together a debt validation contract to show how they got your stuff. Relationship with them, are they the owner, or are they hired by the original creditor to collect the debt? Privacy, how many hands did your private information go through? Check interest rate, finance charges, and other fees to see if they broke any laws. Read your documentation. If you see anything else that's not right, you're going to put that into your debt validation with them, and they cannot do anything about this. They can't go knocking back on the door of the original creditor to say, hey, you gave us a portfolio that had an error in it. As a matter of fact, on portfolios, when they sell them, it says that you're taking full responsibility and that we do not guarantee the accuracy of it. All right. I'm making sure we didn't leave nothing out, because we want to help you get that house. So after you resolve all of that, you're going to end up getting that house. Also, remember, financial, part of the things that they're going to do, you can't have that mattress money just thrown in there. You're going to have to track how that money got into there. I know it's your money. You're going to be thinking emotional. I've went through this before, but they want to know where that money came from. You got to have it trackable. All your documents, they're going to be making requests of documents. Some of them might sound dumb, stupid, whatever. You know, I work at this place. You can look on my credit reports. They might ask for certain things, social security cards, all that type of stuff. You never know. It's just basically to fit you into a program. Every program has a different set of documents. Some of them are the same. Some of them may ask for additional documentation. So don't let that emotional feeling of, why are they asking me for all of this stuff when they could just simply see on my credit reports and whatever other documents you gave them, it's already there. Don't get emotional. Keep your eyes on the main goal, which is to get that house. All of this stuff that you're giving them is just, part of the process. All right, if you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, What Makes a Difference, so you can see my 8-point validation process and my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com to get your TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian reports and all 3 scores. We also have a new link that's going to be added where you can get your industry FICO scores. That means that you can get the exact FICO score that an underwriter/lender would get, and you would know where you stand and potentially what programs you would be able to fit into. The other thing is, you have debt collectors coming after you. Grab my 3-pack of letters, statute of limitations, debt validation, and cease and desist collection activities letter. Thank you for your time. Please like this video. This is Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.